We start with the developing story this hour. The National Commissioner for Correctional Services currently leading a raid at the Grootvlei Correctional Centre, that's in Free State, in Bloemfontein. To be exact, our reporter on the ground is SABC News' Ishmael Mudiba. Let's bring up Ishmael. Now, Ishmael, speak to us about what has been found at that facility during the raid so far.
Well, good evening, Kembegile. It's still early because the raid has just started just after 7. But where we have been following the officials of the Correctional Service and the police, the only item that we have seen is one cell phone and a charger. That is the control. Well, what has been found so far, like I'm saying, is still there is still a lot of time. There will be a lot that we can report about in terms of what has been found so far. Like I'm saying, the raid is still going on. If I may just get out of for Tom Pomashahu, the video journalist, just to give you an indication or what is actually transpiring. We are inside one of the cells where the officials are, getting their hands dirty to check whether what they are looking for is indeed what they will be finding. So it's a laborious process where they are taking things one by one, taking the inmates out, searching them, and everything that they can get their hands on, they make sure that everything is left and it's not left untended. They make sure that they look for whatever that is not supposed to be in terms of contraband, as we have witnessed last week when the similar raid that was taking place in Zonderwater in Pretoria. They were able to find cell phones, Dagga, and some even with money, because you know that the inmates are not supposed to have a certain amount of money. But in one instance where there was an inmate where they found him with about 1,000 rand in his possession, so that is against the policy of the Correctional Service in terms of what the inmates are supposed to have and not have in their possession. Like I'm saying, the raid is still continuing. It's still early, but we'll be able to give you a lowdown of what has been found that is not supposed to be here. Tembegile?
Just very quickly, Ishmael, I know it's still early into this operation by the Correctional Services Department, but how much of the Grootvlei Correctional Centre have they now been able to search at this stage?
Well, like I'm saying, it's still early. The National Commissioner, Makgothi Thobakgale, is in charge, as we can see from the visual. He is doing the inspection himself, leading from the front. Maybe if you can just get from him with regard to this raid, what is it that they are looking for, and what the impression so far, and how many are they in terms of the prison. How many prisoners that they are looking to get to search. But initially when we are trying to find out was that normally when they conduct this search, they don't go through the entire center. They go to problematic areas that identified. So as you can see, the National Commissioner is paging through one of the diaries that he's found there. I'm not sure if it's something interesting or it's just that one of the inmates is keeping. But as permits, he will be able to give us the impression of what has been found and the way forward with regard to measures that they need to take, if whether there are any severe measures and that they need to instill in terms of discipline or whatsoever that that will needed to correction in this facility.
And give us a quick profile, Ishmael, of the sort of inmate, the category of offender who would be detained at Grootvlei. What crimes are they in there for?
Well, this is it's a medium center where it's not unlike other maximum correctional centers. Medium, it's of those crimes are lesser as compared to the maximum center. So I guess here we are talking about a lesser crime. But what are we saying? Talking about crimes. Maybe I could say a murder, for instance. You are hijacking, you are rape. Those kind of inmates that you'd find in this center. But it's not as as big as a maximum center where you'd find hardened criminals that the center will be looking at. Tembegile?
Ishmael, we'll leave it there for now. I see more members of the Correctional Services Department are coming into this cell. As you were telling us, they are basically not going to the whole of the Grootvlei Correctional Centre, but targeted so-called problematic areas. How big of a team does Correctional Services have involved in this raid?
Say it again, Thembile. I missed that point.
I was asking how big of an operation this is in terms of the number of Correctional Services members and police who are involved, because we're looking at the SAPS now. Let's listen.
It's a quite number of members of. I think when we arrived here, when I counted over 100, officials of the correctional center, assisted by the members of the South African Police to ensure that no stone is left unturned, to make sure that they want to make sure that whatever that they are looking for, they are able to get. As you can see outside, one member is using, a sledgehammer to open one of the lockers that has been locked. This is the locker of the inmate, and they couldn't open the padlock, but they have to use force in order to open it and check whatever that is in there, whether it's something that is supposed to be here or it's a contraband. So this is how serious they are taking this matter as they beef up, the personnel with the members of the South African Police to ensure that they get whatever that is not supposed to be here out of this premises. Thembekile?
And we're going to stay, Ishmael, with you just a while longer. When I was saying, let's listen, I was hoping we'd hear what the police officer was saying to one of the inmates a short time ago. And while you're there, are the inmates themselves being asked any sort of questions, or do the officers just come in and start to search their belongings?
No, this is a surprise raid where they were not aware of it. So as and when they come in, they come like full force because they are not supposed to know. So they just come and conduct the search. The only time when they talk to them, it's when they issue instruction for to anyone to take his belongings. You take out what is yours, like you're looking at here. Somebody's holding his blankets and mattress. You take all that is yours. You take it out so that when they search it, they search in front of you so that you are able to account. Not that they don't want a situation where you would come to say you deny whatever that is being found in your locker. They want to make sure that as and when something is found in your possession, they are able to record it and record your name so that proper measures can be taken and accountability will take place. So those are the kind of instructions when any or all the inmates are coming out. You take out what belongs to you.
Mm-hmm. And Ishmael, what is being done while all of this is going on to ensure that these inmates aren't able, for example, to get rid of any cell phones, contraband that they may have had in their cell? I know you said this is a surprise, but what prevents the people in this section or any other section of the centre from hiding things that they're not supposed to have?
Well, like I said, these are identified sections where the officials feel that these are problematic areas, and in the way in which this raid is conducted in such a way that when they move to this particular section A where we are, because we have passed other sections. So those sections, even if they can hide, but there's no way where there's no area where you can hide. Whatever that is there, even if it's not in your possession, but the officials will be able to find it and take it out. But the search is done in a concerted effort that you are not going to be able to hide whatever that you feel that it's not supposed to be found.
And Grootvlei, where you are, Ishmael, in fact, is not a stranger to issues around corruption and wrongdoing from within its cells, right? Because it was in the 2000s where, in fact, an SABC news team from Special Assignment documented shocking activity at this prison, including sexual exploitation, contraband smuggling, inappropriate relationships between wardens and inmates, theft as well.
That's true, Thembekile. Those are some of the incidents that we can talk about where the Correctional Services is trying to get rid of those incidents in order to uplift or improve the image of the correctional services to say these are places where inmates are supposed to be, to come and rehabilitate themselves so that as and when they are released from this institution, they are better persons. And even the officials that are here, we have seen and heard in the past that some of the contraband that is being found in these premises, the question mark remains: how did this contrabands end up in the facility? And sometimes the hands or the signal points to some of the officials who are here that they are aiding and abiding in terms of getting some of this unwanted material that have been found here. So it's all about improving the image of the center throughout the country, as we have seen from last week when the raid was being conducted in the Zonderwater in east of Pretoria. So this is an annual thing, and it's continuing throughout the province, where the officials feel that there is a need for them to conduct. They've identified weaknesses and they want to correct them as soon as they can.
And lastly, Ishmael, we're looking at these pictures of buckets, what looks like lockers. If you're able to give us, by the way, an indication of when we can pause and listen, please feel free to do so, Ishmael. But speak to us about what the inmates are actually allowed to have in their cells, because I'm seeing quite a lot of items in this corridor.
Well, these are basic things. We have just passed over where I've seen one is having a concentrated drink that one can do it in his cell. One also having these are small items, but some they even have bread, so that because that eating time has long passed, so they are still active sitting in their rooms. So they're just having basics that they can chew, even some having Simba chips here and there. But these are some of the things I would assume that as they are having them here and they are being found, I'm assuming that these are some of the things that they can carry, except those that would be having things in large large assignment of things. Like you'd find that somebody is having a high quantity of cigarettes. There the officials become suspect and worried to say, why are you having this kind of cigarettes? So that indicates that there is some sort of activity going on. You'd find that somebody is opening his small spaza inside the prison, because you know that they can only have what one is required to have. Like in terms of one is smoking, you can have one box of cigarette that is for your personal use. But if you're having more than one, or even a carton of cigarette, then that's an indication that something is wrong in this particular cell that they will be searching.
All right, Ishmael Mudiba, stand by for us. For viewers who are just joining us, you're looking at a live shot from the Grootvlei Correctional Centre. This is in Bloemfontein in the Free State. What's happening now is the latest raid by the Correctional Services Department. It's being led by Commissioner Makgothi Thobakgale, who, as usual, is on the hunt for contraband, cell phones, weapons, perhaps, as have been discovered in some of these raids that inmates would have in their cells, which is not allowed. So what we're seeing now is an operation led by the Correctional Services Department. We've also seen the presence, of the SABC, the South African Police Service, also part of this. Our reporter Ishmael Mudiba explaining that what happens is that in these raids, a particular section of the centre is then targeted, so not the entire facility is going to be raided. We're looking at pictures then of the belongings of some of the inmates that line the corridors at the Grootvlei Correctional Centre. They are being searched. You're looking at one inmate there with a correctional services official, or I think that's a cop actually, and they're going through his locker item by item to see if there is nothing stashed in there without approval, or something that is in fact forbidden from being in the custody of someone who's serving time in a South African correctional centre. Ishmael Mudiba, let me bring you back in, our reporter on the scene at the Grootvlei Correctional Centre. Ishmael, how much longer do we expect that this raid will go for? Is there a timeline?
Well, Thobakgale, I can't able. I'm able to hear you, but as you can see, the raid is still on, and they are making sure that anything and everything that belongs to inmates is taken out, including mattresses. Even like you can see, like somebody's having study material, but if those study material are taken out, they are going page by page to see if there is nothing that is being hidden inside. And we are trying to move as possible as we can, and not showing some of their faces, because we have been asked not to zoom too much into them, but to focus on what is being found here. So it's the process is still going on. As you can see, is that many of them, have these buckets where they are using them as storage, where they store their, store whatever that belongs to them. That would include, shoes. Something to wear, but these buckets, it seems like they are very, very efficient for these inmates to use them as storages. So as you can see, we are moving. We are going into another cell where we are hoping that as you can see, the search is still continuing in this section of the prison, and like I said, it's going to be a tall order. The prison officials have indicated that they will be here for as long as it's possible, because they want to, achieve their mission of making sure that they these premises as they want them to be free from drugs and any other thing that is not required to be part of this facility. And this is the operation as is continuing.
And I appreciate, Ishmael, that you're unable to give us
as
exact...
you can see.
Oh, continue. Please continue, Ishmael.
No, I was saying that the operation as it continue through various center, because earlier on you asked us what is going to happen if you find that in other areas you'd find that the inmates are aware and they are able to hide whatever that they want to hide. I'm saying there is no time or place to hide anything. Here they are searching, they are turning the place around. As I told you that this mission is being led by the National Commissioner, Mr. Thobakgale, leading from the front to ensure that they clean the presence in South Africa.
And the section where you are, Ishmael, I'm not asking you for specific numbers, but is it a fairly crowded part of the facility? Because the Correctional Services Department is still dealing with high numbers of inmates in some of its centres.
Yes, the first time when we started with it's fairly, and you could see that even for us to move around, it was not easy, because they had to push some of the beds aside. So I can, confirm to you that it is crowded, and that's how it is. One can expect it to be. It's compared to the G4S Maximum Correctional Centre, where they conducted the raid last year. I can tell you that there is a whole lot of difference that I can able to differentiate between the two, because here it's it's crowded, there it's different to here, and but I guess that's the situation with regard to some of the prisons that we have, because here we are at the Medium B Correctional Centre.
Okay, Ishmael, I think we've lost that feed to our correspondent, Ishmael Modiba, out for us in Bloemfontein tonight at the Grootvlei Correctional Centre, where the Correctional Services has taken its operations regarding those raids, where the Commissioner, Thobakgale, and a team show up rather spontaneously, hoping to catch the inmates by surprise and raid sections of the country's correctional services facilities, where unfortunately corruption remains rife, where contraband, weapons, electronic devices are routinely snuck in, and no one seems to be able to give account as to how some of the people who are incarcerated are able to access those. We'll go back to Bloemfontein as and when there's more to update you on.